All right, first ever episode of the Dishing Swishing Podcast. Eddie Murphy here with
Joe Calabrese.
Coming to sort of live from the basement.
It's a great way to put it.
We have a couple things in the docket for today, but first we'll get to the whole why we're doing this, the reasons behind it, our little background about each other, why we're co-hosts, and then we'll get to the good sports stuff. I know we tweeted a lot of questions, so. Me and Joe known each other since, kindergarten?
We've known each other since kindergarten. We went to elementary school together. We went to high school together. Didn't go to college together, but remained best friends all throughout college. And we both studied this at college. So,
this
is why we're doing this.
Right. We, many a times down here in the basement watching sports and, ranting about it. And me and you were the ones that took the plunge and wanted to do this, so...
this is our entire life. This is our entire life. We have dedicated
for better or for worse.
Most likely for better, but that's going to take a little time.
But first, mention what you've done and what you're doing now, and then we'll get to me.
Well, my name is Joe Calabrese. You can find me on Twitter at Joe_Calabrese, Calabrese 92. I am a graduate of Marist College, 2014. Go Red Foxes. Former alum include Brandon Tierney and Bill O'Reilly.
All
Fox News and Al.
Hey, we share O'Reilly, so.
Yeah, we actually do share O'Reilly. It's a great fact. But anyway, I graduated Marist College last year. I graduated with a degree in communications, degree in journalism and sports communications. Looking to eventually break into the media world as a journalist. Currently a writer for Heavy.com. Just type it in, you'll be able to find it. Currently a sports writer there, doing a bunch of stuff, covering all different kinds of sports, and it's been a great experience, so I'll let you want to introduce yourself?
If I have to.
Yeah. Yes, you have to.
Right, so, Joe did the background of we met from each other forever, but for me, for this sports journey, I guess once I realized I cannot play football for the University of Notre Dame and the NFL is when I decided that I can go into the other end of it and cover sports. So all through intermediate school and high school, I knew that I was the weird one who knew what I wanted to do years in advance. So which is good for me. But so I applied to Boston University and I visited there, I believe, in April, my senior year, and I fell in love with the city. And then that's where I spent the next 4 years. I was lucky enough to live with somebody or my next door neighbor who eventually became my roommate, who was on a sports show, was the production side, and said, "Hey, you love sports? Come on down." I did a sports show there. I hosted, did some analyst stuff, and it was great. Kids from that show also got a radio spot, and from that day, my sophomore year when I started the radio show with the same crew, that's kind of when I geared myself towards the radio side. Writing for me wasn't really a thing. I like to write, but teachers there, or professors, they weren't really easygoing with it, so I became a one-track mind, really, of just wanting to do radio, TV. I don't think you have the freedom and such, so, but I was a big radio junkie, love Boomer and Carr, and, Francesa will talk, I'm sure we'll mention them.
We'll mention Francesa a bunch of times.
Yeah, but, even some guys on ESPN, like Russillo and SCP, you have Jim Rome, Colin Coward, Dan Patrick. There's guys just all over. I listened to Felger and Maz. I interned for them, lucky enough, in Boston, my first internship. The number one, the show.
Yeah,
we
were fortunate to get what we did.
Oh, very.
When we were at school.
Right. And then my second internship, I was lucky enough to intern for the NFL channel at SiriusXM, and on the Moving the Chains, the afternoon drive show for them, which does very well. And I guess you say, keep in touch with your contacts and email and do your job there. And lucky enough, this past October, I was in talks with SiriusXM to work on their NBA channel as a producer. I know it's not on air, but find me a lot of 22-year-olds who are on air, and I'll show you a bridge to sell. But I'm lucky to be there, and I work with a ton of great people. Frank Isola, who now is a huge star in New York City. Plenty of ex-NBA players. Jerry Stackhouse.
This is the part where he starts name dropping.
Kenny the Jet Smith. Hey, you dropped O'Reilly. You could drop
Woj
Tierney.
Too.
No, Woj doesn't work. Woj comes on, but
Woj comes on. He
doesn't work as an actual host. But we have Stack as a host.
Yeah, I can name drop some people too.
Dunleavy Senior. I'm not name dropping. I'm just showing how fortunate I am to work with these people and how it's made me a better broadcaster and hungrier to do this. So that's the reason why me and you were down here.
I probably downplayed what I did when I was away at school too, because I've interned for NBC twice, and the second time I was fortunate to work in their Stanford studios where they moved NBC Sports, and anybody who knows anything about the studios knows they film Football Night in America. Oh, not Football Night in America, I'm sorry. But Football Night in America will be coming to the studios next year. It's a great little tidbit. Currently, they do the NHL on NBC, so they do Hockey Night in America. They do Premier League on Saturday, so they have all the studios there. I was fortunate to meet Mike Milbury and Keith Jones playing in the arcade.
Oh man,
Mike! An awesome experience.
You ask him what it was like to destroy the Islanders, or
I didn't get to that. Keith Jones was actually really awesome. Milbury was kind of cold. I didn't really ask him a question. I figured he wouldn't answer me, but Jonesy was awesome. So it was a great experience, but didn't want to downplay that. I also have newspaper and radio experience at Marist too. So both of us have immense radio experience, which is why we're doing this. So this is going to be worth your time. I promise you this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I did that show from my sophomore year to my senior year. Luckily, my senior year, one of my best friends at school was my co-host, and just no matter how early in the day it was to wake up and go do it, you just had that cohesiveness and the fun. You just lose yourself in the middle of talking about sports. And as I'm going to work here, I come back from work today, working with some great people, and you just see them getting fired up, talking about certain topics, and I just miss that. I mean, I have an easy job. You have an easy job. We get to sit and talk sports and write sports and produce sports, whereas other people
have a fun job that we love. That is what it ultimately comes down to.
Exactly, and
the DNS podcast. We're gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna
rock and roll.
Right. I guess the next thing we should get to is like the whole breakdown of the show. I know Joe has a ton of
great ideas.
Yeah, it was all him. It was all him. So show everyone what you have in store.
Well, each week we're going to bring you a certain format. Each week, me and Eddie, we're going to open up with our own little monologues, because that's what the great radio, TV personalities seem to do. So, following in their footsteps, we'll each open up with our own monologues. We'll make it different each time. We'll coordinate that in advance, and we'll give our opinions about that. We'll feature several segments throughout the course of the show. One of my favorite segments, which we're incorporating, which I believe is completely original, is the 6 to Midnight segment, where we'll break down a player, a team, a coach, general manager, an owner, even a professional sports league, whether it be the NFL, the NBA, whichever is trending upward for that particular week. We'll also go for the other side of things, which, player, team, coach, yada, 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 is trending downward. Another segment we'll incorporate is the ever-popular Armchair GM segment. It basically sounds exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
We're going to break down key players who are involved in trade talks, key players who may be hitting free agency. We'll talk about team needs. We'll talk about potential trading partners through and through. The next one will be the Amateur Hour segment, where we'll just bash a particular player or coach.
Wouldn't be radio if you weren't negative about it. So
right, and then we'll break those down, and we'll add some more segments as we go along.
Sure, and let me just say this about Joe. When Joe came with these ideas, well, the funny thing about me and Joe is the dichotomy we have is we'll agree to a T on some sports. Takes or whatever. So anything that happens, we'll agree 100% every facet of it. And then other times, me and him will disagree. Couldn't be on different ends of the spectrum. So that's why I think we'll be a good tandem going forward, because you'll have somewhere we'll agree and we could bash, or we could praise whoever, or we can have a banter going on for however long on something else. So when Joe came with these ideas, I was pretty excited, because I think it'll open up a lot of that. And,
that's
everyone...
actually a good way to describe us.
Oh,
We're very bipolar.
Oh, yeah. Very.
We do agree a lot.
Very,
and then when we disagree, we,
very, yeah.
really, really...
No, I've been known to blast Joe on Twitter. You can follow me at, was it Edward L. Murphy? That's my professional one. But as I was saying, yeah, with the segments you have is great. And everyone, today's age, everyone has a podcast. Everyone wants to do a podcast. Everyone wants to be on radio. So I guess us having our own little flavor to it, will just make it better. Give us a little more... spice to it, and I guess give us those hot takes that we could tweet out, let everyone see what we're talking about, and it'll attract listeners, and that's what this is all about. So I think we pretty much covered the whole.
You ready to rock and roll?
The base is the background for it. So yeah, now we'll get to the fun stuff. So everyone could have skipped this first 10 minutes or so. We started. I don't even know what the time is. We're doing this freaking thing through GarageBand. It's so makeshift, these crappy mics, but we're here doing it at
I'm battling a cold.
11:30. Yeah, Joe's always sick. Joe's gonna have an asthma attack. But right, as Joe was saying, we'll skip all the boring stuff. We had to lay down that. Next show, obviously, will be more fun right from the start, and we'll start with the monologues. But set the scene. A couple of days ago on this Sunday is one of the biggest days in America, and
probably the biggest day in America
for sports. For sports celebration, yeah, and probably. I mean, I hate.
We're talking about the day after the Super Bowl being a national holiday.
Right.
For Christ's sakes.
Well, I hate the world. Everyone rolled the World Cup, whatever. In America, it's Super Bowl. So anyway, something in the scene. We're down here in the same basement we are right now, a couple of feet over, and watching this. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. I saw a couple of great Super Bowls with them in it, and obviously seeing your own team win, nothing can compare.
I'm a Jets fan.
Well, so you have no idea. You have no idea what I'm talking about. but from a person who doesn't have a dog in the fight, just what a great Super Bowl. Really fun to watch. Now, I say no dog in the fight. However, you being a Jets fan, and me, I did, for a disclaimer, did have Jets season tickets. I did go to a lot of games, and I do root for the Jets when they're not playing the Giants. I did go to school in Boston, so being a Giants fan and being there for the Giants' victory in 2011, I root for the Giants as much as I for the Pats to lose. I root for the I want to see them lose equally as bad. I want to see the Giants win. Just really hate that organization and what they're about. But we'll get to that in a second. So obviously watching the game, back and forth. Pats take the lead first, and then later on in the game, the Seahawks go up by 10. And then the end of the game, late in the third quarter, Seahawks still up by 10. You kind of felt the Pats had some life, and then you see what happens. They crawl back in and you go, the writing's on the wall, this game is over. By a miraculous stunt of God, whatever controls the football gods, the powers. The powers that be. A ball drops into Curse's lap, down inside, was it inside the 5, the 10? It was inside the 10. The next play was the Marshawn Lynch run. Was it Curse or Baldwin? It was Curse. It was Curse? I'm pretty sure it was Curse. Okay, no, because Baldwin scored the touchdown. Okay, right. No, you're right. Okay, keep going. Curse scored. No, and I mean, you jump in whenever, and you know where I'm getting at. And then, so then the next play was the run by Marshawn Lynch, and then they're on the goal line now, or the 1 yard line. And then the next play was the second run by Marshawn Lynch. Oops. Exactly. And the point of this is not to harp on that. At this point, we know it's the wrong call. Right. Everybody knows. Everyone knows the wrong call. The only person not saying it's the wrong call is Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll wants to go on Today's Show, wherever he was on. Right. He was on the Today Show, and he was interviewed by Today Show host Matt Lauer, and it was a really good interview. Very, very good interview. But for the 67th millionth time this week, Carroll was asked, was it the right call? Carroll, being stubborn, I don't know if that's the word, sticking to his guns, what have you, has yet to agree with the fact that it was the wrong call. Now, personally speaking, it's become a passing league. Sure. There have been more instances where you see teams throw the ball inside the 5 yard line. Don't. I know where you're going. Don't try to say it's a passing league and you see where he's going. He's not. There's no way. There's no way. We were sitting in here together. That's how I was before painting the scene. We're sitting here together. Did you think? Well, I was trying to justify it a little bit. No. There's no. I said we're past that. You can't justify. You know it's the wrong call. You can't justify this. It's not justifiable. We're sitting in this basement. We're high-fiving because we all hate the Patriots because we know what's going to happen next. The guy who didn't want to do anything in media day, the guy said he was here just so he doesn't get fined. The guy who's all about that action, boss. You know he's getting the ball. You know 24 is getting the ball. They're going to go in and score. The Pats will have around, well, depending on how quickly they wanted to score, the Pats would have around between 50 and 30 seconds. There was, I believe, 26 seconds when the pass was called and then the interception happened. So let's say they were on the ball. Hypothetically, 3 seconds tick off the clock to get a touchdown. You're down to 23 seconds left. The Patriots have a timeout.
The Seahawks still have an all-time great defense, despite how hurt it was, which we'll get to that soon. But they called a play, which it's obviously definitely the wrong excuse, to call a play to try to prevent time being there for the Patriots, because anybody who watched the Giants-Patriots 3 years ago in the Super Bowl saw that even with 30 seconds left, Brady was able to move the ball to midfield, and he would have one Hail Mary attempt, which was knocked down by the Giants, which was the last play of the game.
Right.
The Seahawks did not want to get into that situation because their entire secondary, literally their entire secondary, was hurt and probably shouldn't have been playing in the game.
And that right there is a point that I want to make. They played scared.
Right, I agree. 100%.
Next.
They played scared.
How were you calling? First of all, Pete Carroll couldn't decide on what he wanted to go with. He couldn't decide if it was a wasted play. He couldn't decide. A wasted play. Does he know what game this is?
There is no wasted play.
You're in the Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl 49. You have less than a minute left. You have seconds
Another problem
left.
I have is the Seahawks had a timeout, too. I believe they called their second timeout before they called that play.
Right.
So, the obvious call is to run the ball. Because if you run the ball and you don't get in, then you can use your timeout. Because the Patriots, for sure, were not using their timeout.
Right.
The Patriots were praying that they were going to get the goal line stand and get the 3 stops on the run that they needed. But, I mean...
I think because they were down they would have been down 3 after a touchdown and extra point conversion, that I thought there was a chance they were going to let them score. When the ball...
Right.
When Marshall ran the first run, well, the only run, to the 1, there was... It was a little over a minute, or around 50 seconds left. It was in that range.
Essentially, a 5-yard run from the point where
Right.
Hurst made the catch.
At that point, I'm thinking, you have a minute left. If you let them score here, you're going to give Brady you have a timeout.
He would have had 15 seconds left and a timeout to work with.
Right, assuming the ball's kicked out of the back of the end zone. Right,
but you can't be scared, because you cannot be scared.
Well, I agree with that. But that's what I thought. They didn't let them score, and obviously what happened is an interception. But there's a couple aspects I wanted to get at. One is them playing scared. Two, to go off what you're piggybacking off of that, if they did what they were supposed to do and run the ball in, the odds, I did my research, did a little homework, the research shows if they get the ball, and this is even more time than they would have, if you have the ball with 25 seconds left on the 25-yard line, 5% chance they tie that game. 5% chance.
It's a 5% chance.
Give them the ball at the 40-yard line, the same amount of time, only a 14% chance. Hauschka, whoever does the kickoff for Seattle, he's kicking that ball to the back of the end zone. You're in the ball at 20.
Right.
And you're not going to have 25 seconds. The next thing was the clock management I wanted to get to. You have a minute left with a timeout. Waste your time. Do what you wanted to do. Take 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then you're going to kill the clock for Brady. But then on the flip side, Pete Carroll was saying that if he was afraid that he wouldn't have enough time to run the ball on the 3rd or 4th down if he didn't have the pass play. So, if you have a timeout left and you don't want Brady to touch the ball at all, you're playing scared, and you're
what they should have did was run the ball on 2nd down and call out New England's bluff. New England they were not going to use the timeout.
They were not going to stop.
They were not going to stop the clock.
But they're not going to stop. They weren't going to stop Lynch either. Lynch was scoring. You could have put a brick wall in front of the.
What you could have did was you could have the timeout that they used before 2nd down, which is probably what they should have did. They should have called two different run plays. They should have said, "This is what we're doing on 2nd down. If we don't get in, we're going to rehuddle as quickly as we can, and then we're going to go for it on 3rd down.
Sure.
If we don't get in for it on 3rd down, then they have a timeout left, and then you're faced with a 4th down situation with probably 8 to 10 seconds on the clock, whatever have you. How long it takes if you have
8 to 10 seconds left. No, 8 seconds left. If they wasted,
if you have it, and everybody else.
You're forgetting something because they did not. If they called the play immediately after the first Marshall Lynch run, they would have had. I mean, they waited 30 seconds to call the next play. That's what people don't understand.
Right. That is.
If you were so afraid of the clock running out that you had to throw a pass, run the second play immediately. So then, yes, you're giving Tom Brady a full minute. That's a whole other ballgame. Giving him a full minute, a timeout, the ball in the 20, and you have Gostowski, who's way above average kicker. 3 points is feasible. I understand that. But if you snap it around 45, 40, upper 30s, a run from the goal line. If he gets stopped, how many seconds is that, roughly? 6, 7, 8?
6, 7, 8, yeah.
Like you said, run back. You know, so then get in the huddle. Run play right here. Third down, same exact play. Dude, there should be 2 plays called. Run left, run right. That's it.
Right.
That's it. You're on the goal line. Or even a Russell Wilson dive. Up, like a quarterback sneak. That's all you're running.
I think it's astonishing, too. And our friend Gene, he was talking with me the other day, and he brought up a decent point that, I mean, do I think it's true? Probably not. But he kind of goes into a little detail about the whole Marshawn Lynch conspiracy theory out there.
Oh, no. Don't even.
No, I'm not going to bring it up. But the point that I thought that Gene brought up to me that I liked a lot was in that final 30 seconds, it's almost as if Seattle kind of lost sight of who their truly best player on offense was.
Oh, I mean, I've seen people say that they wanted to give Russell Wilson the glory with a touchdown pass, but I don't think.
Well, here's
how I think that play call is so absurd. People are attributing it to that.
I think Russell Wilson is a great quarterback. I think he's top 7. And I think he's as close to elite as you could get, and he proved it in this game.
If he won the Super Bowl,
That drive at the end of the half, that drive at the end of the game.
If he won this, it's 2 Super Bowls in 3 seasons. People are automatically saying they're saying Hall of Fame.
Right.
Immediately, the minute he wins the minute he has the ball to Marshawn Lynch a second time when he scores,
right,
it's Hall of Fame talks.
What I was saying is that in order for the Seattle offense to go, you could probably get away with taking away Wilson for a couple of games, and they'd still be able to play the same kind of style because they play low scoring games. That's the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
But Wilson has enough. He's got enough in his skill set, and he's got enough up here in his head, and he's got the intangibles where he's able to kind of create stuff and do stuff that no other player can do in those low-scoring games.
He's had some of the best games for a quarterback this year.
Their bread and butter is Lynch.
Oh,
he is the almost like, you know when you put the key in the ignition? Lynch is the key. Without that, the Hawks offense probably goes nowhere.
Well, of course, he's the best running back in the league right now. With obviously with Peterson out and Rice
and I think
out.
What goes unnoticed is that Lynch is able to run routes as receivers too.
Oh, he had an unbelievable catch.
You can line up. He had an unbelievable catch on that final drive. The more you talk about it, the more you get so frustrated.
You get very frustrated because there's still so many things I'm questioning. So again, to go back to the play call and the whole time management thing it was like Andy Reid time management. It was atrocious. It was abysmal. It was. I don't know why it's so bad. I'm not sure why Russell Wilson didn't look at him, take a double take, and say, I'm not calling that play. If you don't want Tom Brady to touch the ball, and maybe you can answer this for me, why are you throwing a pass? Because what happens? What
contradicts itself.
What happens if that ball not even picked up? If it's knocked down, what happens? The clock stops. First of all, I don't even want to
I know.
I don't want to go into it. No. I know. I don't want to go into it and say
the
why.
The problem I have with the call right now, my single biggest problem with the play call right now is that nobody in that organization wants to admit that it was the wrong call. Come out and say it was the wrong call. You know how we know it was the wrong call? Because they fired their offensive coordinator the next day. That is how you know it was the wrong play call. But yet nobody in that organization wants to take accountability.
No, and I you know what?
And I respect Lynch. I respect Wilson for taking the high route. It's
and
amazing.
Carroll too. He's handled it pretty well.
Carroll's handled the controversy pretty well. But in order for people to completely get over this, I think at some point Carroll has to swallow his pride and say, it was the wrong call. People know he's apologetic for it, and he's come out and he said he's sorry.
Right.
And we brought up the interview before with Lauer.
Right.
He's said all the right things. He's done all the right things.
Yeah.
A respectable coach how he should handle the media, but you have to say it's the wrong call.
Me and you both watched the post game. We flipped back and forth trying to find the best post game. Well, we didn't want to see any Pats interviews. We want to see all the Seahawks interviews because I'm not sure. Obviously, taking out Seahawks fans, taking out Patriots fans, the pulse of the nation. I'm not sure people were kind of celebrating the Patriots win or sitting there in shock or disgust over what they just saw the Seahawks pull. And we were definitely sitting there saying I still can't believe this happened. And we're trying to find the reactions to them. And Pete did say, I probably could have ran it there. He hint at it, saying that he could have done something different. But like you said, he contradicts himself, and he's not. But he's still defending the play call. And I don't understand if you didn't want Tom Brady to touch the football. You don't want You don't want 12 behind center going down the field with the ball in his hands. You don't throw a pass. And to go a step further and say, if a gun to your head, you have to throw a pass on second down. Why are you throwing a route that cuts into the middle of the field inside the hashes? Because that's just a recipe for disaster. If all the balls do is
throw the ball, go back out to Matthews. Go back out to the
roll out. Wilson, roll him out. Roll him out. If there's no one there, dump it.
Right.
Throw it out of bounds. Wilson, or you give Wilson an option to run it in. He can make plays. He can make plays with his legs. You're throwing a screen, a pick route inside the hashes. If your own receiver bobbles it and the ball goes in, you're putting it into the middle of the defense. Again, which is why you don't throw the ball there. Because the whole point was to not let the Patriots have the football back. So the only play that should ever be called there is just a run. It's a run left, run right with Marshawn Lynch. He doesn't score on the second down, great. You have a timeout in your pocket. And if he doesn't score on the third down, then you want to call a timeout, regroup, spread the defense out and say, okay, I could do a rollout here, option to run it in or pass it if it's open. But again, there's no one in there. At that point in the game, you have the Pats on your heels. Everyone in the world, or anyone who's watching the game, is thinking this game's over. Russell Wilson run down the field. Marshall's going to run it in. The guy who was talking about all entire week is going to say, I scored the winning touchdown. He gets the last laugh. And, not that I was a fan of what he did. I'll say that. But everyone knew it was over. The Pats had no drive left. They had all their morale was
gone. I honestly believe it's the dumbest play call in NFL history.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because I don't think there was ever one single play call in the history of football that could actually legitimately swung a championship. You could go back to the final play in the St. Louis and Tennessee game. Mm-hmm. You can go back to the great throw that Roethlisberger made to Santonio Holmes. Those plays occurred early enough where, even you could go back to the Giants and the Patriots with the Tyreek catch.
Right.
I forgot the down, what it was on the throw, was whatever it was, second or third down.
Third, I believe.
But you go back to those plays and there was still time left in the game and there was still each team had momentum and it could have, the result of the game could have remained the same, but if those plays hadn't have happened.
I understand what you're saying. Right.
This play call, from my knowledge, because I've only been here 22 years. And I've only been watching the Super Bowl since I was 5. The first Super Bowl I watched was the Denver Broncos and the Packers won, which was Super Bowl 32. But if you look at every single Super Bowl, every single NFL championship game, I can't think of an instance where a single play decided a champion.
Right. No,
this play decided a champion.
I second that 100%.
Because if they run, I think they score. I mean, there's no definitive way to prove that without watching it unfold. But he's going to score.
He's going to score. Right.
Everybody knows he's going to score. The Patriots know he's going to score. It just boggles.
No, I totally agree with you because
I've never seen a play like that. Can I hit on something quick too?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hit on the injuries before, but we kept talking about this. Earl Thomas played with a dislocated left shoulder, needs surgery. Richard Sherman has a damaged left elbow, a.k.a. may or may not need Tommy John surgery. I don't know. We know the Tommy John recovery time. We don't know how it's going to affect Sherman. We don't know if he's going to be able to play from the start of preseason next year. I doubt it.
I mean, it's not a knee; it's an elbow.
Cam Chancellor injured his left knee. Pretty sure he has a completely torn MCL, and he played through the entire game with a torn MCL. That's absurd. And then obviously Jeremy Lane had the injury in the first quarter of the game.
Yeah, the ugly broken wrist or arm, whatever. Yeah,
disgusting. That is their entire second. Well, besides Byron Maxwell, but
right.
That is 4 of their 5 defensive backs that they use in their primary sets. They were all hurt, which goes to show you that. I mean, granted they gave up 28 points,
right?
But you figure as this game is going on, they're really, really banged up.
I'm glad you came.
And it shows in the game because at the point where the Seahawks were 24-14, I think the one play that a lot of people are this is gonna be one of those plays that goes unnoticed, overlooked. There was I forgot what play it was, a time period in the third quarter, but the Seahawks were marching down the field and they were near midfield. It was pretty sure it was like 3rd and 7 from like the 50, whatever it was. And Wilson made this nice rainbow throw to Doug Baldwin.
Dropped it.
And he dropped it.
Yep.
And it hit him in his hands, and he dropped it.
I was going to ring it up, too.
And it was 24-14 at that point, and if he makes that catch...
They're in field goal territory.
They're in field goal territory. The game might be over.
Yeah.
Because they're getting another 3 plays. They'll be able to run down the clock. There was still about, whatever it was, 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter at that point in time.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
If Baldwin makes that catch... Well, I'm obviously revisionist history. Hindsight is 20/20. But that was a crucial play in the game because when the Seahawks made it 24-14, their offense got really, really stagnant. And it was almost a mirror image of what we saw in the Packers-Seahawks NFC Championship game, where the Packers' offense stalled.
I wouldn't go that far. I think
the Packers was more or less to do with calling decisions.
That was deliberate. This is what the Seahawks game plan. You know what the Seahawks game plan is and always has been. It's you get the lead, you run the ball, you wear them out with Lynch, and also give credit when credit's due. The Pats defense stepped up. The hero of the game, Butler. He made a couple nice defensive plays, and he stopped a couple big ones.
Butler also made that play where he tripped.
Bro,
remember that?
Yeah, when he grabbed the guy's the heel, yeah. But to get back to the drop, I rewatched. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I rewatched the game, and I was watching it, and that Wilson, beautiful throw. Wilson made a lot of.
You could almost feel like, I mean, even if you didn't sense it at the time, when he dropped that, you were like, ugh. Because you almost knew that the Patriots, at the point when it was 24-14, you kind of knew New England was going to score again.
Right.
Whether it was a field goal or a touchdown, they weren't going to go quietly into the night because the Seahawks were really just that banged up. And
no, of course not.
Sure enough, the Patriots came back, scored a touchdown.
No, you can hear Al Michael say it. Al Michael said it too. He's just like, this is getting the point of the crucial point of the game. This is like serious crunch time here. But when Wilson made a ton of good throws in that game, no dumb throws at all. I'm not even saying the last throw of the game was dumb.
No, it wasn't.
He shouldn't have been in that position.
Right.
But it was where the ball was supposed to be. Fundamentally great play. Whatever.
Right.
But that throw was a beautiful throw, and he put it right in the money.
I believe Wilson had. I think he went 12 for 21. He
only
attempted 21 passes.
Yeah.
But he had 247 passing yards on 12. Oh
yeah. No, his deep ball was good. Like that. So that ball was not a short throw. It was a 3rd and short. Made a great throw.
He made a couple of great deep throws in this game.
That throw puts him inside a field goal position, and like you said, it's game over at that point. They score a touchdown. That drive. It's 3 scores. Even a field goal prevents the Patriots from going down the field and getting a short field goal. If you're down more than 3 points, in the Pats that end that game. I think that it does actually change the play calling of Pete Carroll, and they would definitely run that ball in. Again, so it does not take away from what they should have done. But yeah, you spoke a lot there. Let me hit on a couple of things you were saying. Well, with the injuries, I'm not going to give them an excuse. I'm not going to say
no, it's definitely not an excuse. But I'm just saying
it was noticeable. It was noticeable.
It was noticeable
for the defense that you said was an all-time great defense.
It's still an all-time.
If they won the Super Bowl,
they went to back-to-back Super Bowls.
You're right. I mean, it should be considered there, and they definitely were worhurting. You have some of the best players in the league. Say we joined Richard Sherman. He was thrown to once or twice. The whole game?
Yeah, I think he was thrown twice.
He's as good as I can get. Earl Thomas is for safety as good as you can get. Cam Chancellor, that guy. If there's one guy that still brings the wood in the NFL, I'm not afraid of fines. And not that he's dirty, but he definitely lays the lumber. Cam Chancellor also hurt. You have torn MCL on a knee. The guy can't move.
I couldn't walk on a torn MCL, let alone play football.
It's unbelievable. And then you have Thomas with the shoulder. That affects his tackling. Sherman, same thing, has to cover a guy, has to, bump a guy. He's using his arms, still gets thrown through twice. That speaks volumes about how his how great his play is. So
I would like to make my last Super Bowl point before I think we should move on, because we talked about this enough. But
dude, I don't think we hammered Pete Carroll for how dumb this play call is, and how he's not still coming. Like he has to come forward.
We don't have enough time to hammer and how dumb it is. But my last point, and this is not trying to knock Tom Brady here. I thought Brady played a phenomenal game. I didn't think he was the MVP.
He's an MVP because he broke records.
I know, he broke the records.
The most important players.
He threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers.
Right.
4th Super Bowl. What do you have? 400-something yards in the game.
Yeah.
It was one of the all-time great performances.
If you told me Brady throws the ball that many times, I'm going to say they lose that game.
But he threw 50-plus times, which was probably part of the game plan because Seattle's secondary was so banged up.
Yeah.
But coming from a neutral fan, not trying to bash Brady.
No, neutral
fan. I thought the most valuable player in the game was honestly Julian Edelman.
I'd agree with that.
I think if you take Julian Edelman away from the Patriots offense and you give them another Brandon LaFell. Brandon LaFell was very, very good this season. Very solid number 2 wide receiver, despite what people think about him. He wasn't really living up to the billing in Carolina. He came here. The Patriots bought low on him. Lo and behold, catches a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. Had a very, very good season. But if you give them another kind of not one-dimensional, but if you give him another flank kind of wide receiver where he's lined up wide and he runs those kind of routes, and a guy who's not really shifty, who you can line him up all over the field, he can run across the field, he can run down the field, he could give you run something down the seam, he could line up in the backfield and take handoffs. Edelman is what they do. Edelman was the guy who replaced Welker. Edelman is kind of like the glue guy who makes their offense go. And I think Gronkowski is their best skill position player, but if you talk about the ultimate, prototypical Bill Belichick Patriots offense player, it's the gadget guy like Edelman. And if you watch that game closely, Edelman was making plays all over the field, he was making guys like Jeremy Lane early in the game miss tackles. He was making guys like Earl Thomas look silly going across the middle of the field. He had a tremendous game. He really did. And I thought he was the difference maker.
Yeah, in terms of impact, right. But the guy throwing the ball was Tom Brady, and he did break those records, so I think you can't, the stats don't lie, so that's
no, of course the stats don't lie. And honestly, Brady definitely deserved the MVP. Absolutely. But I think Edelman, if you take away...
Edelman is very important. You
so important, especially in that game in particular.
No, I agree with you. Funny story about Edelman up at near the VU campus around this weekend, so...
Great.
A couple stories about that. We'll save that, though, for the honor stuff, but he had his fun. I agree with you. I think Edelman...
I'm completely done with my Super Bowl talk.
The interesting... Yeah. Well, good. You cut me off, and I can't even make half my points.
I'll let you close.
Take a shot at the Patriots here. I mean, are you... Well, I don't want to jump back into it, but what about the whole concussion? Potential of him having a concussion, the concussion protocol. I mean, it's just what they need.
As far as I'm concerned,
but what happens if
his brain just scrambled and he's mushing 15 years from
now?
No,
not even that. But again, the Patriots
I know,
potentially breaking the rules. That's the angle.
Breaking the rules.
I give Edelman more props to come back in. Obviously,
That is basically my take.
You have guys in the Seahawks, playing with torn stuff and broken stuff and whatever, and having kids and playing Edelman as a concussion. Is it more dangerous than the other ones? I mean, yeah, of course it is. But if you pass the concussion protocols, then you can call me, a slanderer for saying this. Then the Patriots are breaking rules again because they obviously didn't. But seeing him crumble on the field like that and crawl and not know where he was, I mean, I'm not sure if. What they're, they told him, they held up 2 fingers and said, yeah, it's 2. I don't know what their, testing was there, but that's something I look out for because I think with this Deflategate stuff, in a couple weeks' time when this report comes out and they, it comes across they did something, this is another black eye for the NFL. Another, Goodell, again, taking this one on the chin. It's bad for the Shield. He should have done something pre-Super Bowl to discipline them because now it's an asterisk Super Bowl. That's what it comes down to. If they come out and they're guilty, it's an asterisk Super Bowl. They won the first one with the Spygate, and this one after the Deflategate, not even mentioning the concussion thing with Edelman, who was probably the most important player for the Patriots besides Pete Carroll for calling that play. But you're right. I mean, we can move on from this topic. Like I said, my whole main point is not to just bash them saying it's a dumb call. Obviously, it's a dumb call. We all know that's a dumb call. The point I'm trying to make is that why Pete Carroll did not come out, like you said, did not take blame for it, did not give us a truthful explanation as to what he was doing, because saying that it was a wasted play and saying that he doesn't want Tom Brady to have the ball in his hands again does not explain why he's throwing the ball, because throwing the ball prevents that. So that's what we're trying to get at here. That's what I had to get off my chest for that. I know a little bit after on we can get into the commissioner debate.
That's going to be good.
But especially with this, like I was saying, this black eye on the. Well, we could just. I mean, I'll throw that now. I mean, I'll say right now. I'll say the Patriots. You could say what you want about. Yes, they won. Yes, they're a dynasty. Or they were a dynasty. They stayed great. 10 years. Apart from winning rings. Tom Brady's one of the best of all time. Bill Belichick one of the best of all time. I'm not disputing that at all. But when you have a but attached to some of your wins, like versus Carolina, and like versus the Rams, and like versus the Eagles, and then you come years later, well, a few years later, and you couldn't beat the Giants when there was no asterisk around you, twice. And then a few years later after that, then you have the Colts saying something, the Ravens saying something. Deflated football, and it is what it is. Is that a actual, advantage, disadvantage? Do I think it's a big deal? No, I don't. I don't think it's a big deal at all.
It's the fact that it's there.
Exactly. It's the fact that it's a rule and they broke it, and that people hate the Patriots. People want. Look, I understand you have guys at Barstool and everyone saying, "Oh, the Boston media."
This isn't like Eddie Guerrero where he's getting praised for lying, cheating, and stealing.
Right.
First wrestling reference.
Nice. Took you long enough.
Great.
But people don't like the Patriots. It's just the way it is. People don't like the Yankees. People don't like the Lakers. People don't like Duke basketball. It's just their teams you do not like. They're just not likable. You have Brady, the pretty boy quarterback. Everyone's jealous. Everyone wants to have him as their quarterback and or husband. And then you have Bill Belichick, who's the evil emperor, the guy who doesn't say a word, very brash and rubs abrasive, runs the media the wrong way, and people on the outside looking in hate that organization. There's no way around it. So any chance they get to attack, they're going to do that. So why do you give them a chance to attack? Why deflate a ball? A PSI, 2 PSIs, whatever it is, whatever the stupid crap is.
Once again, the issue is not the fact that, they deflated the balls by 2 freaking PSIs. That is irrelevant.
I'm not here
to. The fact is, they did it.
And I don't want to. You're right, and I don't want to debate that. I'm not saying. Right. I'm not saying if it doesn't matter. I don't care if it matters or not. It is in terms of a matter of it's right or wrong. It's wrong.
Right.
If they did it, and that the problem is this. That happened 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, 3 weeks before the Super Bowl, whatever those games, the AFC Championship game, the divisional game happened. The stuff come out saying that Ryan Grigson was involved and tipped them off. Whatever. The point is, nothing happened before, and they won the Super Bowl. So now you're stuck with the Ted Wells report? Is that what it's called? Is that the guy investigating it?
Yeah.
So Ted Wells investigating this Deflategate, which is Deflategate. First of all. That's a dumb name because
adding gate after anything.
Watergate was a hotel.
Stupid.
It wasn't a gate. It wasn't a gate or a case on water. It was Watergate Hotel. That's where they did the sting. I don't get why is a gate. Whatever. I'm going on. We could do that here. It's our podcast.
They add gate to everything, and it's
Spygate, Deflategate, Bountygate. It's a Watergate was the hotel. So get this figured out. There should be an investigation on that. Who started saying gate after everything? But this investigation now. I get what the NFL didn't want to do, and that's punish them before the Super Bowl, because what happens if you punish the Patriots before the Super Bowl? Then all of a sudden people complain about the Super Bowl, the team in the Super Bowl. Oh, they shouldn't be there because they cheated. And then you're hurting the product. And then you hurt the product, what does that do to Roger Goodell? It makes less money. What is every decision Roger Goodell has made so far, this year alone, it's been about the money. What did he do with Ray Rice, when Ray Rice's wife or fiance at that point was in an elevator? She was the crap was kicked out of her in the elevator on camera. But where? In a casino. Name me a place besides maybe a bank with more cameras than a casino. Before Joe dies here, can you answer that before you die?
No, I'm fine.
But can you find a place? Can you think of a place at the top of your head with more cameras than? Besides that, a Canon digital camera factory or a bank.
A jail?
Literally. Okay, so a jail and
no, I don't think a jail has even that many cameras. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of places.
Are you telling me the NFL couldn't find a single tape before that happened? But if you had a media credential for the Super Bowl, and this is a story floating, I'm not sure if you read this story. If you posted online on social media that you had a media credential for the Super Bowl the week prior to, and you posted it with your name, they would track it down and find you, and then not let you in. They would take it away from you, and so you're not allowed in media day.
Right.
They found a guy did that. They found him in 2 hours. But you're telling me Ray Rice, a star running back for a Super Bowl champion team, a high profile team now. They won. They're not a big market, but Baltimore won. They won 10 years ago or whatever, more than that. They won again. They have fans. Ray Rice is a star. He sells jerseys, and then you have him giving his wife a right hook in an elevator and dragging her unconscious body. And you're telling me the elevators have 2 cameras in them, and then you have cameras out in the hallway. And the NFL could not find it. Oh, what does it just cease to exist?
It's pure incompetence. That's exactly what
No,
it is.
see, I don't think so. I don't think it's incompetence. I think it's the NFL trying to save the Shield and save their brand. They don't want to make money. They don't want to tarnish it. So what happens if you punch the NFL, if you punch the Patriots before the Super Bowl?
From our perspective, it seems like incompetence because that's what they're.
No, they want you to believe it's
right. They want you to believe. That's what I was saying. I don't think they're incompetent. I think I'm agreeing with you. I think they're elaborately trying to figure out a way to downplay everything that comes up. And you saw this with, like, issues like Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin in Miami.
Right.
You've seen this with, like, Michael Sam being drafted. You know, you could... This doesn't
exactly.
This doesn't necessarily relate to the problem of domestic violence, which is, you and I know is BS. All these commercials...
Oh, sure.
That's another thing.
Of course it is.
All the commercials with Chris Card and all these players crying... Direct result of everything that happened.
Of course
they did not care about this.
And I could prove why. Because what did Adrian Peterson do?
Right.
Beat his kid.
He beat his kid.
And what happened that Sunday...
Why don't we have any commercials about domestic violence to children?
What? No,
why is it... You know what I mean?
The NFL, they wanted Adrian Peterson to play. Why did Adrian Peterson not play that Sunday? The team suspended him, one, and they're going to come back and play. Then what happened? The sponsors came knocking. Or emailing, rather. They probably didn't come to his door. They emailed him and said, hey... We're going to pull our ads for what were the ads, whatever it was in Minnesota. I don't know if it was like a sports apparel or something store, whatever it was. And they said we're gonna pull our stuff. We're gonna pull our ads from you because we don't want to be associated with people who play a child abuser. Then the NFL acts because why? Less money,
right?
Less money, and it hurts the product.
It's all about
it hurts their brand. It is
all about the money.
That's the reason
you're
why.
You're rolling in billions and pretty soon trillions in the next 25 years. That's just the way it works. But I mean
yeah, right, and they make more money than God. Goodell makes $40 million a year, but it's only he cares about today. The Patriots take it. It was they charged fans to take a picture with the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah,
I mean, do you need the money? Like you can't have your fans have a day, but not to go. That's one thing I feel bad for the Patriots for, But that's what it comes down to, is they protecting their brand. With this whole Deflategate thing, I'm not saying the NFL knew they did something wrong, or they have evidence against them. I mean, that's what this report's about. But what good does it do if this report comes out, in a month or two, from now, post-Super Bowl? So then do you look back at it and, like, look, it's going to be a tarnished Super Bowl, it's going to be an asterisk Super Bowl, like just the same way Spygates are.
Well, the Patriots were one of the 3-4 best teams in the league. Everybody knew that. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily tarnished. But it's definitely... The
Spygate's one are. People go out and say Spygate, and now they got guilty for
Spygate. Well, Spygate is different. Spygate is, illegally filming
and
practices
deflating balls is still illegal.
No,
putting crowd noise in, like if they did in Atlanta, that's illegal. It's illegal. There's rules, and they broke them. It's an organization, like I said before, that people don't like. People on the outside looking in hate.
It would be an asterisk Super Bowl.
100%.
Yeah.
But the NFL is pushing it over to after it's over. Their best case scenario was as loud and as brash as the Seahawks are and arrogant. The best case scenario is they won because look, you have a face, you have a guy, Russell Wilson, a God-loving man, whatever, walking around, going to the children's hospitals and visiting kids. That would have been their best case scenario. Now you're dealing with a Patriots team with a possible, scandal outcome on their hands. I don't know when this report's going to come out, but. It does take away from what they did, like what they've accomplished, what they've done, because fans all across Middle America who are not in part of the New England Patriots fan base are going to say they cheated once and they cheated again now, and they didn't learn their lesson from the decade in between.
We can look to the years that they didn't cheat, the years that they lost to the Broncos of the world, the Ravens of the world, the Jets of the world.
That's the sad part. The sad part is that they could have won. I totally agree with you. They're the best team. Like I mean. They could have played the game with a beach ball and beat the Colts. That's the fact of the matter is that. The Ravens, different story. Ravens have their number. Ravens are their kryptonite, so to speak. But they belong in the Super Bowl. Like I'm not concerned. I don't want to take away from what they did. I'm more upset with the fact that how the NFL handles it, and how the NFL puts money first and make all decisions first. So the whole point of this rant was who's in charge of the NFL? Roger Goodell. So I think Roger Goodell when he first came in, did a good job. He was, being a disciplinarian. That's what they needed. The NFL, to this day, still needs it because in a week, what did you have? Was it 3, 4, 5 people arrested?
Right.
Who is it?
That's another big problem that they're going to have. Their players getting arrested.
I think that's what if Goodell wants something right, it's focusing on that. I mean, like you said, the domestic violence issue was a bunch of garbage because they contradicted themselves by letting Adrian Peterson. They let him play, and then once the sponsor said, no, we're going to pull," then now he's for the rest of the year he's suspended, and then Ray Rice was cut. Goodell needs to really find it in himself. To try to change his image, he has to first attack the issue, the players getting suspended and the amount of insane crimes off the field. If he can somehow clean that up, that'll help himself. I mean, really what you do is just sit down and watch what Adam Silver is doing. Because Adam Silver has not screwed up once as commissioner of the NBA. Everything he's done is right. And you know why he's everything right and why people like him? It's because he's transparent.
Right. Very transparent. He's very blunt about how he handles things.
He'll say
about how he explains things.
Right.
That is his best asset.
He'll just say, they'll bring up an issue, he'll say, you know what, I'm looking into it, I'll talk about it. He'll talk about it publicly, he'll say, I'll look into that. Dude, he sat down last night at the Golden State game.
He doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Right. He tells you how it is. He'll say, right. I'll look into that, we'll do that, games in London, I'll look into that. He said point blank, he goes, well, unlike the NFL, we need to make it. We would need to make a division.
With Goodell, there always seems to be like
he's a robot.
Right. He's a robot. But whenever something happens, it seems like he's always trying to say something or act on something or do something that kind of deters away from the situation. Especially with the Ray Rice, he was saying, "Oh, we didn't get the video in time."
Yeah,
there was essentially synopsis. There was miscommunication between the league offices and getting the video. Silver, especially when acting on the Donald Sterling situation, where everything was
quick
basically plain out in the open, saw what he said. The comments were all out there for people to see on TMZ everywhere. And you know something? Silver came in within, how long was it between the Sterling tapes came out and the decision? It had to be really quick.
It was not that. It might have been
within a week.
Yeah,
right?
it was about a week.
Which is fair. Fair because Sterling was a long-time owner, but it eventually came to the point where...
Well, I'm sure Silver had to do his due diligence and find...
Right, Silver did his due diligence. He spoke with the owners.
But he didn't have a press conference and say, we're going to figure out what we're going to do and not do anything about it, not act on it, like Goodell did. He had a press conference, came out, and was pissed and laid in the law heavily. And you see the Twitter reaction, what he said?
Right, I mean, and then when Silver did have a press conference, you know what he did? He laid down the law and he said, "We will not tolerate this. Our players will not tolerate this. Yep. We are hereby banning Donald Sterling from the league."
He ended up
which was the right decision.
And every player in the NBA tweeted in support of him. And every writer and person covering the NBA tweeted in support of him saying,
and that's what happens when you're a really bad owner for a really extended period of time. But the comments were obviously essentially icing on the cake. Everybody knew he was a terrible owner. And everybody knew he eventually had to get out eventually. Right. Like, they had to push him out. They had to find some way. And it was almost like this godsend that here's this team in LA, which hasn't been profitable since it came here. It's like wasting a team in a large market.
Sure.
So here it is. Here's the Donald Sterling comments. It was like a godsend. And sending this back to Silver, when he spoke with the media, he was flat out, he laid down the law. And that is the qualities that differentiate him from Roger Goodell. And this is why the NFL is going to continue to have these problems into the future. Because you would think, fool me once, fool me twice, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
You would think you would learn from your mistakes. It seems like he's not even learning from his mistakes.
No, this by far has been the worst year for the NFL in terms of PR and for a commissioner. If they would say approval ratings like the president has,
right?
Goodell would be pretty low. It would be very, very low.
Goodell right now is on par with Bettman and the lockouts in the NHL.
Right.
Selig, he's gone now, what have you, the whole steroid thing. I mean, he's been trying to clean up baseball. He gets a pass. Everybody knows he's not the best, but he's not the worst. Somewhere in the middle of the pack. Donald Stern did a great job.
Yeah, sure. David Stern did.
He saved the game. He globalized the game. And what is Silver doing? Basically took the baton. Like passing the Olympic torch, Silver is doing an admirable job.
And it shows the product has been as good as ever it's been. I mean, you have the point guards in this league have been as deep as ever in the NBA.
Are we ready to transition to basketball?
No, I guess that's what we're doing right now. I wanted to. The hitting on the commission thing is a big deal, and I think that it hasn't ended. And you brought up Bedman. Bedman couldn't get along with the owners, and the lockouts happened. And then you have Seelig, issues with the steroids, whatever. Goodell's a laundry list, though. There's not just one thing with Goodell. It's mishandling Ray Rice, mishandling Adrian Peterson, mishandling the domestic violence issue as a whole. He has an issue with interviewing and press conferences in themselves. He just can't do it. He's the opposite. He's not transparent. You have no idea what he's thinking. You do know what he's saying. What he's saying, what he tells you is the opposite because you don't believe him. He's unbelievable. He only cares about making money. He's in a position right now. But the funny thing is, too, we're saying this, and what does it matter? Because the Super Bowl the other day, by the way, was the most watched thing in American television history. So it doesn't matter. It
makes us all move.
They're making money hand over fist and
all this
on top of this pile of money. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. But Adam Silver, what he's doing right now is I'm not sure that his commissioner is universally liked as a person that's universally liked as Adam Silver, and just being at a game like he was yesterday, and just coming down, hopping on the booth, and talking, and just answering questions about realignment, asking questions about expansion, answering questions about moving to London, just all a bunch of different things in talking about, and he was giving you straight on. He was a straight shooter, and that's the only you could ask for. And not a lot of people do that, and he's been right on the money with everything, like you said before. Like you hit the nail on the head with the whole Sterling issue. That was a huge issue. Obviously, a lot of players in the league and are black, and you have a racist owner, and he did what he had to do, and he from that day on, he's got the support, from the start. The lottery reform.
It wasn't just a situation with the Clippers too. The Hawks had a situation similar to this.
Right.
And one thing that I think Silver has also done a really good job with, I guess in Stern's later years, Silver had a little more like he was getting a little more pull because they knew he was next in line. So Silver was more or less more involved in the inner workings and the inner decisions in the league. One thing that I think has gone really unnoticed about the NBA that is something that they do phenomenally is that when their franchises sell and when there is a transition in ownership of franchises, they get it done so quickly. Like you could rattle off teams. The Golden State Warriors sold for $500 million just about a couple of years ago. What do you think they're worth right now? They're definitely worth over $1 billion.
Oh, right.
That market, with those stars right now, the Warriors are worth more. Look at a team like the Milwaukee Bucks. They're on the uptick. They're one of the top 6 teams in the East. They have Greek Freak. They have Jabari Parker, despite him getting hurt. Yeah. They've got Brandon Knight, who's in the middle of probably his best season in the NBA. So all of a sudden, a team that's in a bottom 5, 6, 7 market in the league, all of a sudden their value has gone up. They just sold within the last year.
And they're going to get an arena. They're getting help.
The Atlanta Hawks had ownership problems. They had the controversy with the emails back and forth. And all of a sudden, who's the best team in the East?
Who's
the Atlanta Hawks.
Who's probably the best team in the NBA.
Right, the Atlanta Hawks. So you look at these situations, and obviously it all starts from the top. But it's so commendable, the job that they do in transitioning these owners and getting these people in, that all of a sudden now that with the new ownership people in position, it's almost like a trickle-down effect.
Yep, and the TV deal is going to expand.
And the TV deal is going to expand this league.
No, you're right, and the transition was a big deal.
The salary cap is going to shoot through the roof.
Right, they're going to make a ton of money. And going from Stern to Silver, the transition was great. Stern was always loved, and now Silver's taking what he just did to another level. Whereas Tagliabue did a good job in the NFL, and nobody spoke ill about him. He was good. And then the transition to Goodell was okay at first. He was a disciplinarian, and then it went downhill. Seelig, rough, he was fine. Then the rough starts with the steroid scandal, and the past couple years he's been okay, but we knew he was on the way out. So now the new commissioner was Manfred, whatever his name is. I believe it's Manfred. He spoke out today on ESPN, but so his transition will be interesting to see what happens with that. But the NBA, they couldn't have had it better. One thing we were talking about, the real, what do you want to know, the realignment? The All-Star game? What do you want to have first in the NBA?
Well, we can get to the realignment. I would have liked to touch on the All-Star game.
We'll do the All-Star game. The All-Star game to me is more important than the realignment. Realignment, I think,
the realignment we can touch on later podcasts. But NBA All-Star weekend.
Right.
It's snuck up this year. Usually it's like Usually
say that
it's like the middle of February. It's usually
you say it snuck up on you. For me, I work it every day, and I knew the thing was coming.
Well, for you work at serious NBA,
I'm breathing,
you're on top
eating,
of this stuff.
sleeping NBA right now.
For me, I usually expect the All-Star game another week or two from now.
That's a shock, too, because it's in the city. For a kid who's always around the city.
Yeah, I mean,
Barclays, MSG.
MSG.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Doing the split weekend, doing the skills and such at Barclays, and then the game. And
I like it. I think it's right.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's a great idea.
You're combining the two huge markets.
Slowly but surely, the Barclays Center is becoming the arena of New York.
I don't agree with that.
No, I'm not saying like MSG is the arena, but the really funny joke coming. The rent in MSG is too high. So what they're doing is obviously
there's a reason why.
Obviously we all know the reason why, but
and don't get me wrong, the Barclays is a great arena. The
Barclays Center is phenomenal. Everybody knows. Everybody knows it's
there.
Yeah, Barclays Center is new. It's state of the art. It's affordable for these events to come in. That's why it's getting all these concerts. It's getting all of these circus shows. It's getting college basketball games.
Right.
College basketball, like the mini tournaments that they have throughout the course of the year. It's getting all of these events, and obviously MSG is still going to have like Jimmy V and the Knicks and the Rangers, and it's going to have Billy Joel concerts, but it's slowly being weaned out. I guess you could say.
I think the renovations.
Like, it wouldn't shock me in 5 years from now if Jingle Ball goes from MSG to the Barclays Center. Like, that's what I'm saying.
In terms of money reasons, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's something about playing, in the Mecca and playing in the middle of Manhattan, like in New York City. But Brooklyn is as close as you can get. I mean, you're literally.
No, but I like the idea of splitting up and doing the skills, All-Star Saturday Night with the.
Right, it's a whole boroughs
skills competition, shooting stars, and slam dunk contest.
Right, it's a whole boroughs. Combining all the boroughs and doing something that, and doing for the league, I think it's great. And exposing both buildings and helping both franchises out there. Not that they need help in terms of the money department, but it's good for promoting. It's all that stuff. I think it's great. I think it's a really good idea. I think they should have it in New York more often. I mean, I can't remember the last time I don't even know when the last time they did.
I think Brooklyn will get they'll technically give it to Brooklyn in the next 10 years. Probably not in the next.
See, 5. I think as long as
2022, I think
they'll always split. I think they'll always do the split thing.
Really?
I think so because it's right there, and I think it just creates more of a buzz. It's no offense to the other places, but you can't do the things you could do in Milwaukee or in Utah that you could do right here in New York City and in Manhattan and Brooklyn. So I think it's awesome they're having it here. Just wish the teams that play there are better. But what did you? Also, what do you want to do? The snubs? You want to hit on? What do you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to break down the rosters.
Okay.
Yeah. Starting with the East, I mean, we got Carmelo Anthony because obviously Knicks fans were going to vote him into the game.
Well, I know what the conversation we're going to get into. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're going to get into this conversation. Right, I can tell already from saying Carmelo Anthony. Do you agree with the fan vote? Yes or no?
No.
Why?
Carmelo Anthony's not an All-Star this season.
Why?
Fair.
So you're saying you don't want the fans to vote anyone in?
I wouldn't say that. I think there has to be a good enough balance of fans being incorporated into the process.
So you want
having coaches doing it.
Okay, so you want fans, coaches, media, players, or something like that, or no?
Well, I think it's okay I think they have it flipped. I think coaches should determine the starting five.
Okay.
And I think fans should vote on the players who they want in the game after that. Because mostly, for me, I think the coaches will get it right. The starting five, especially. I mean, like I said, Steph Curry's having a phenomenal season. Obviously, he's going to get into the game. Anthony Davis, probably one of the 3-4 best players in the league. Obviously, the coaches will know to put him in the game. LeBron, obviously, they'll put him in the game. Wall, best point guard in the East. He'll be, the coaches, they'll get it right. But it's the other players who may not necessarily get that recognition that the fans would want to see in the game. Somebody like a DeMarcus Cousins who eventually got in. Somebody like a Klay Thompson. The fans they'll put those guys in the game because those are the young, flashy guys who are going to have social media trends and campaigns and all of this done for them in particular. So,
but it's the fans.
I think the fans voting on the starting five. It's good. It works on paper. But if you give them the opportunity to vote on the reserves rather than the starting five, it gives them an opportunity to vote to more players. And I think in that situation, they'll probably hit on more players than they would in the starting five. Because you got to remember something, too. Kobe was voted into the starting five for the game. Would you agree with that decision? He's having an all-right season. He's got, bad legs. He's got bad shoulders.
I mean, is his play at an all-star level? No.
No, of course not.
But
is he still an all-star caliber player on most nights?
No, but it's a fan's game, and this is taking place at Madison Square Garden. And if you're a fan, if you have one chance, say this game wasn't even at MSG, say it was in Milwaukee, or say it was in Utah, or say it was in Indiana, and you have a chance, you got a ticket to go to this all-star game, and you have a chance to see all these players. Now, no offense to guys who are playing awesome this year. Say if the East lineup was most of the Hawks players and not LeBron. Let's say not LeBron, or Kobe wasn't voted in, or Tim Duncan wasn't voted in, but he was. People, the kid in Indiana, or the guy in Utah, or the family in Milwaukee might want to see Kobe. They might want to see LeBron. They might want to see Tim Duncan. They might want to see Dwayne Wade. They might want to see these guys who are going to be all-time greats. So I think Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook, two guys who missed a lot of games, got in. Why? Because of the best players in this game. They're the names in this game. Not that Kyle Korver didn't have a great season.
No, obviously the All-Star game is a game.
That's what I'm saying. It's a fan's vote. So yes, does it really? It sucks. I'm playing Lammy for guys who deserve it. It sucks for guys like Damian Lillard. It sucks like
he's the biggest snub by far. Not even close.
Mike Conley. Like, it sucks for him. Like, the kid. Guys. Underrated. Everyone's like, oh, you can't call him underrated anymore. And then he doesn't get voted in. Right. But it sucks for them who are worthy and deserve a spot, because some people do care. Damian Lillard came out and cared. He's the only.
That's where I think doing the switch helps, because obviously I don't think Lillard would ever he would not get voted into the starting five by the coaches. But I think the fans would push through a guy like Lillard.
No, because I disagree with that. I think the coaches would. Coaches know how good Damian Lillard is. I think the fans sometimes are just dumb and just don't do it. But seriously though, think about this. What time are the Blazers playing on the East Coast? 10:30. No one's watching that. No one's staying up until 1 o'clock to see the end of the game.
Except Zach Lowen.
Yeah, except for Zach Lowe and the guys I work with, all the guys that watch the League Pass. But that's the problem. There's the East Coast bias. There's the time difference. People aren't seeing him play. People don't realize how good that him and LaMarcus Aldridge are together. And that's the problem. You don't see. Memphis, people couldn't tell you what team Mike Conley plays for. I'm not saying the fans of basketball of the NBA in America are dumb, because they got a lot of the picks right, a lot of the voting right. They did. But I understand. If I have a ticket to this game, if I have the chance to see Tim Duncan, Kobe there, Carmelo Anthony there, as opposed to Kyle Korver, Mike Conley, I don't know, another borderline guys, maybe in Orlando, Nick Vucevic. These guys are
Eric Bledsoe.
Right, these are fringe borderline guys. You see where I'm going with this point, is that you want to see the all-time greats. Another thing is the free pass, is the Derek Jeter farewell tour. No, but if Tim Duncan retires this year, if Dwayne Wade retires soon, or Kobe, this is their last hurrah, and I think they deserve a shot at that. I think it's an exhibition game. That's what it comes down to. It's a fake money-making game. It's a fun weekend for the fans, fun weekend for the players, and I'm totally fine with them voting in whoever. Now, will I say if the fans could somehow be limited to who they vote for, that would be better. If there should be maybe a games played threshold so a guy like Kobe or whoever else missed Kevin Durant missed X amount of games, you can't be voted in, then that just stinks, because they're injured and nothing you can do about it. So maybe if they implement something like that, where you can't have a guy in who didn't play a single game, but I think when push comes to shove, it's what the fans want. It's an exhibition game. I think lead up to if the coaches and the players or whoever else votes, the media want to throw in them voting too. They know who the best players in the game are. They know who is having an all-star worthy season. So I leave it up to them to vote in the Kyle Korvers, the Mike Conleys, the Nick Vucevic's, etc. Because they're the ones playing these guys night in, night out. They watch them night in, night out. They analyze them night in, night out. Fans, casual fans, guys in New York, people in New York have how many people live in New York? 6 million people, whatever it is. The percentage of them voting, they want to see their guy. They want to see Carmelo Anthony in it. He missed a lot of games, so I understand that people don't want to see him in it. He's hated to begin with. People don't want to see him in it. But it's in New York. He's the player in New York. They want someone to represent them. They want to see a face they know, and he's the guy they know. And that's what it comes down to, is that it's the fans, what they want. And I think taking that away from them would make it a lot less fun and maybe watchable for some of the casual fans, because they don't want to see the no-name players from these mid-market teams. And that's just the nature of it. That's the nature of the business.
I'm looking at these rosters. There's a big discrepancy between the West and the East.
Oh, there's
a huge discrepancy.
Well, right. I mean, the West has the best point guards. The West has... I mean...
This is absurd.
The West... I mean, there's people who didn't make it for the West.
Not saying that the East doesn't have...
Damian Lillard did not make it for the West, and he was star for the East at point guard. I think he would.
I don't know about that.
I think he would.
You could probably start him over Lowry. Yeah. It's close. Lowry's having a really good season. It's close.
I know. I mean, Wall is too.
But if you look at the reserves, like Jimmy Butler, Paul Millsap, Jeff Teague, Dwayne Wade, that's a very weak bench. It's a very, very weak bench. And like I said, I was agreeing with you at the point. Like, obviously,
well, Wade's in for one reason, because he's Dwayne Wade,
right? Because he's Dwayne Wade, and it was the same thing with Chris Bosh. And it's like,
he's having a decent season. But it's like, Millsap's on the best team. That's the thing. Do you not reward teams?
No, obviously you do reward it, but it's like, at the same time, I'm going to roll my eyes a little bit. Like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh.
The thing is, but who really are the alternatives? It's Nick Vucevic, maybe who's on Detroit, Monroe or Drummond. I mean, those aren't guys you could. I mean, who else would you put in for a guy like Bosh?
That's another point too. It's very hard to find an adequate guy who you could just say he replaces him.
The East doesn't have it. The West has a lot of those guys. The East doesn't have that.
Right.
They don't have the luxury. It's unbalanced. It's very unbalanced.
It is.
I'm not complaining. It's just that's what it is. I mean, the East was very good, in the 80s. Like now, it's when you had the Pistons and the Celtics and the 76ers and
the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks. Bernard King. Right. Yeah. Pat Ewing was budget in '86. So yeah, all these teams.
Yeah,
wait,
84.
No, was it? No, they didn't play together. And his last season with the Knicks was 80. Maybe it was. It was around the time.
Ewing had to be drafted 85.
I know he didn't play a single minute with Bernard King, but point being, the East was
so good for
right. So that's what happened. And I have no problem with it, but that's you're really choosing from scraps there.
Noah's not in the game. Is he hurt?
He just does not play very well.
He just hasn't played very well, huh?
The Bulls as a whole, besides Jimmy Butler, is not playing very well. I mean, Rose didn't get in.
Rose
has had his worst shooting season ever.
Yeah, he's not been good. Kevin Love hasn't been good.
He had a decent game tonight, but
Kyrie got in. Kyrie's fair.
He's
the Hawks guys, obviously,
they deserve
it. Huge fans of the Hawks guys. I'm trying to think. Is there any? Well, Bradley Beal, but he was hurt.
He missed time.
Yeah, he missed time.
Again, I think this should be a restriction.
He wouldn't meet our threshold. I'm going one by one, and in my mind, I'm saying to myself, "Hunk, you're right."
No, I
you're right. You're 100% right. Can't think of anybody on the Pacers. George is gone until next season.
He might play. He's probably practice full contact.
Is there anybody on the Hornets? No.
I mean, Kemba's been the best player. He's not worthy.
Yeah.
The East is. I'm okay with the East. Really, besides Vucevic,
Korver is a snub. It's like he's a career six-man who's having a career season.
Great he's one of the best free throw shooters and a really good three-point shooter.
It's
him, Korver and Vucevic. I think are the two biggest snubs.
Yeah, I mean Vucevic he's what he is. He'll probably
he's double
game or two.
He's double guy.
He's gonna be David Lee, where he'll get in.
He's getting in. I mean, I understand. He's one of the best. He's the best player on a bad team.
Definitely.
But I think the West. I think the issues I have with the West. I mean, you have got Russell Westbrook. I think deserves it because he did miss time, but his points per game, or he's top 3 in the league in scoring. I mean, Durant missed a lot of games. I would say
my biggest West problem would have been Kobe, and that rectified itself because he got out because of injury, and they put Cousins in. Everybody else deserved to make the team. Am I going to really argue Damian Lillard and Klay Thompson? You know what I mean? It's like Klay Thompson is having an absurd season.
I mean, Duncan got in because of name and his defensive plays.
I would agree with that. I think if push comes to shove, if there's going to be one guy who you're get out and put Lillard in, it'll be Duncan.
Right, and I think he deserves it. I think that
this probably will be Tim Duncan's last
Pop did say he might play one more after this, and he'll get voted in again because he's Tim Duncan.
He's Tim Duncan.
But I think Damian Lillard. I thought before we said that everyone in the universe loves Adam Silver. The only person to say something negative about Adam Silver was Damian Lillard. He posted the Instagram picture saying about how nobody respected him on the way there, like whatever, all the haters or whatever it was. Just people wouldn't believe in him. Some along the lines of that, and it pissed him off. And I wasn't really bothered by that at all. I thought it was pretty. I thought it was cool when athletes show their actual true feelings and they actually care about something. And this guy wanted so badly, so he was definitely pissed off by the snub. And he'll play. His play's been great. And I'd be afraid to play a guy who's pissed off like that. Damian Lillard. I'm not worried about. He'll make plenty more All-Star games in the.
He'll end up making 5 or 6 in his career.
But I wish I can go to this game. I wish it would be fun to go to. My company, unfortunately, is not handing out free tickets to go. I do have to work it, so I'll cover some of the stuff, so that should be fun. But, as a whole, I think the point I should make it is the fan event. It's an exhibition game. It's what they want. It's what they voted in.
Well, I don't want to take them completely out of the equation, but what I'm saying is I would like to see other younger players like Lillard, like Vucevic, get a little more recognition because it seems like every year there's always that rising star who gets shut out.
Right.
And especially in a guy like Mike Conley's case, he's getting shut out, every year.
Right.
Because there's only so many spots. And it's like when you look back at Mike Conley's career, you're going to look back, he was a good point guard, probably should have made 3 or 4 All-Star teams, and he's going to probably end up making 1, maybe 2.
Right, because
at the end,
because of the conference he plays in. No, I totally agree with you. I know we're going late on time. We'll get this transition. So talk about All-Star game at MSG, the team that plays in MSG, the Rangers. They had a big win versus the Bees last night. Guy they're looking to go. I know that they're in the trade rumors. They're hearing them linked to Vermette and Hansel. I know Boomer Carden this morning talking about Hansel.
Hansel, so hot right now. Yeah, Hansel, I'm a big Hansel guy.
No, I know. And apparently that Boomer's been right about Nash. He's been right about St. Louis. And right about a couple of things. So.
I think the Rangers are a big. Well, hyphen / big-bodied forward / face-off guy away because that's essentially what they're missing.
Right.
But I think they could get away without the big body if they get the face-off guy because I feel like that's where they're weakest. So if you get either or, it's a win-win.
I'm with you on the big body guy.
Because every championship team is always flawed somewhere. You're never going to have the perfect team.
Right.
So they're one move away from probably being close to getting back to the cup.
Right. Everyone knows they beat it to death.
If you break down
the Kings, the Kings have a big body team, very strong team.
If you break down the Eastern Conference right now, you look at the top teams. Tampa Bay, obviously, they're a great team. They deserve to be there. Mm-hmm. They're going to be tough in the playoffs, especially if Ben Bishop stays healthy. The Islanders are a very good team. They're 3-0 against the Rangers. Obviously, Halak is playing like the Halak we've seen when he was really good in St. Louis, when he was good in Montreal. They're a good team, but obviously they still have to prove that they could get it done when that time comes. So maybe we're not going to move them as high as we should, but they're still going to be in the mix. The Red Wings are back. Nyquist, Tatar,
mm-hmm.
they finally have the influx of youth that they've been lacking for such a long time, and they've been doing this primarily with Jimmy Howard being in and out of the lineup with injury problems. So the Red Wings, and I would say the Rangers are probably the 4 best teams in the East. I don't list Pittsburgh because I think Pittsburgh has pretty much been figured out in recent years. They're currently in a slide now, and they're probably not going to finish in the top 2 in the Metro. It's going to probably be the Rangers and the Islanders in some order. So I wouldn't count Pittsburgh. I wouldn't count Washington until they prove they can win the playoffs. And the most they've won with Ovechkin at the top is around. So there are better teams in the East than Washington. Boston is the team that's obviously going to just lurk there. I skipped Montreal. So
the scoring is not there.
So if we list the top 5 teams in the East, it's probably Tampa, Montreal, Detroit, the Islanders, and the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
If the Rangers get the guy that they need, they probably vault ahead of the Islanders and the Red Wings.
Yeah, but
they've been
to say that
the Red Wings.
No one else makes a move.
And the Canadians, they beat the Canadians last year in the playoffs. Probably vault them into the top 2-3 in the East. So from my perspective, as a fan, I would like them to get Hansel or Vermette.
If Boomer says they're going to get Hansel, I trust him. He has sources. I don't know who his sources are, but obviously, it looks like he might come here. And I agree with you. I know we were talking about this a couple days ago, and you said you wanted a face-off guy, and I was saying that find secondary scoring because in case Nash cools off in the playoffs like he did, who is their next guy? And I know we have scores. I know you have St. Louis and you have guys who can put the puck in the net. But it wouldn't hurt. I'm with you on a big body guy. I know definitely need to be more physical. One of the reasons why the Kings beat the Rangers last year are way more physical, but that just goes for the whole Western Conference. The thing I'm worried about is that the other teams make a move. Like Pittsburgh is always looking to make a move. Pittsburgh makes a ton of trades.
Right.
I know they were linked to Evander Kane, and that news came out today.
I think that rumor is absurd because I don't think Pittsburgh has the guys who you could go out and deal with.
But they did say his value has been dropping. I think he's that bad in the locker room that.
But if you put him on anywhere else, he's going to score 30 to 35 goals.
Right, he has 30 goals season. Yeah,
Evander Kane is essentially. I don't think he's as good as Bobby Ryan, but he's the same kind of player where. You know what?
The difference is Bobby Ryan.
You know he's a skilled
Bobby Ryan
guy.
Has a letter on his sweater. I mean, he's a guy who's respecting the locker room. He's Bobby Ryan is notorious for not being a two-way player or whatever. But at the same time, the locker room. Hockey is different. It's a rare breed in terms of other sports where I shouldn't say that because if you have a bad locker room in a sport, it can kill you. But the chemistry and the whole brotherhood of being a team, that's a big deal. And Evander Kane, coming in, late for meetings or wearing a sweatsuit for whatever reason it was.
Yeah, he was wearing a sweatsuit. That is a controversy he got
right,
into this
and
week.
Because
Dustin Byfuglien took it and threw it in the shower.
Right. Apparently he was late.
Do I have a problem with Evander Kane wearing a sweatsuit? Do I have a problem with Byfuglien throwing his sweatsuit in the shower? Yeah, I have a problem with that.
You have a problem with Byfuglien?
I have a problem with two wrongs don't make a right.
No, I see. I think that
you have to keep it in the locker room.
I think that was.
I don't think Byfuglien's a bad personality.
No,
I don't think they have problems there.
I think you're missing it. I think the issue was that it was a long time coming sort of thing, and that Evander Kane. This isn't the first time people have had issues, and they wanted to treat him before.
Right.
There's been issues. He's had issues.
Right.
And I think that if you want to trade your young best goal scorer, there's a reason why, and I think he's that bad in the locker room. They said that he thought the meeting was at the hotel instead of the arena, so he's wearing sweatpants, and by the time he realized that he had to leave, he didn't have time to go back and change, or some other kind of, whatever his excuse was. And I think Byfuglien did that just to show to him that he, stop being a punk kid and treat this, treat this like your job and respect it. So I don't have a problem with Byfuglien getting in his face, not getting in his face, but throwing his clothes in a shower. Is it the best method? No, I understand what you're saying. Making
I would prefer to keep that much more low key.
Well, but now it's a story, and now I think the writing's on the wall. He's going to get moved. He got moved. He got put on IR, retroactive from the second or whatever. So that's a strange move. So I think that he's definitely going somewhere. I don't want to see him on Pittsburgh.
I think they get weaker.
I don't want. Of course they do. I don't want to.
Not that they're going to be a top 5 team in the West anyway. The top 5 is pretty much set. As it is. Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Anaheim, San Jose. It's going to be very, very hard for any other team to get into that discussion unless you're LA. Because if LA sneaks in, they go from being. There are very few teams in the league who have an on and off button. And for the last couple of years, those 3 teams have been Chicago, Los Angeles, and Boston. I think Boston's gotten a little bit weaker. They still need a scoring winger.
Yeah, getting rid of Seguin, the trading Seguin, for the Louis Erickson, that swap has not really worked. That Sagan's lighting it up, obviously, in Dallas. He just couldn't fit.
Good player. Ben Smith's been good.
But from stuff I heard.
But value-wise, they lost the
you're
deal.
Lose on Seguin,
they traded the best player.
They knew. I feel like Boston knew once they moved Seguin, he's going to go light it up. And Sagan's a great player. From stuff I know from going to school there and being connected, and people are like, "Oh, what does he know?" Just stuff I've heard. I've lived, people. I've lived. I've interned. I have friends.
I lived.
I go to school.
I used to have class with Miss Universe.
Yeah, I had class with a lot of the BU hockey players, guys who were Charlie Coyle, Matt Nieto, to look them up. NHL players, no big deal. But I'm saying being involved in the hockey thing and knowing some media guys, and having when you go to a hockey school, you realize that and you're friends with them. This sounds so pretentious, but I'm saying a lot of NHL players and talent come around BU. There's always practice that they come to the school, the local establishments around the school. So you hear things and know things. And Seguin, for as good as he's on the ice, was toxic off the ice. And they knew. I know the Bruins knew going in they had to move him because he's just not. He was like a kid in a candy store there, and he was not focused. And now they sent him to Dallas.
Seems like
he wrote that whole Players Tribune article saying how Boston gave up on him too soon. But he put himself in a lot of situations that I'm not going to go rat out, but I know he's done some wrong. But that being said, phenomenal player, phenomenally young player, and they lost on a major scorer they needed. They had him. Then that's a whole different ballgame. Boston's a tough team because Tuukka Rask is as good as it gets, and their back end's still strong. I think there was one team that could use an Evander Kane, it's Boston. I think Boston getting Evander Kane a scoring winger. That's the
problem is the salary
because they've that, and I don't know if they have the assets. I don't know if they want to move the assets.
I don't think
because they have a lot of young players in the right place. Like you said, like Riley Smith, they have Dougie Hamilton. You don't want to move young guys like that. But they're missing that score. Like they lost Sagan. They used to, they had Yager. They had Horton. They don't have that guy anymore.
It seems like this Evander Kane situation is going to play out like Tyler Sagan, where he's going to get moved.
Yeah,
it's going to click. He's going to mature. He's going to end up being a good player. They're going to probably get a very good amount of assets. They're going to get at least 3 good assets.
Kane's not the player that Sagan is,
but they're still going to get 3 solid assets.
The thing is with Sagan is Sagan was not. He was not a locker room problem in terms of he was hated. He was loved by teammates.
No, of course.
He was loved by teammates, and he was loved by the city. He was just he was very immature and very and did things you shouldn't do. But Kane is not the player. I think Kane is not the player that Sagan is, but I think that's a great fit for Boston if they can figure out something for him. I'm not sure what I know. I heard there was some Western Conference teams he was involved in for Kane to go to. So that's we'll see how that plays out. But I don't know what are you signaling today?
No, nothing.
So yeah, I see that's an interesting story because he's a big name, but I don't think the Rangers will go for a guy like that. I don't think that he's in their cards, but hopefully he's out of the division race there. The one last thing we didn't tease it, but I know you wanted to get on the whole. That Tiger Woods interesting conversation that little it's a good thing to end there. I know we've ran on kind of long today, but to end that quick rant.
Yeah, well, we could run a little bit long because our intros went 10 minutes, so we could run a little bit longer and then scale it back down in subsequent podcasts. But yeah, I mean, Tiger shot an 82 in the first day of what is this
Phoenix,
the Phoenix?
Old crap. I don't even know. I don't care.
Yeah, I forgot the tournament name.
And
I'm not a golf watcher.
Tiger joined it. Ticket sales went up. People cared about it.
He shot 82.
Tiger plays what? He had 11 holes or 14 holes or something. 11 holes today.
And then he quit.
He was the true as usual. It's par for the course. Pun intended. That he leaves before.
Very par for the course.
Yeah. But the thing I wanted to get at was Tiger was being. I have these. We have friends.
We have friends. We have friends. We'll support Tiger Woods until they're blue in the face, until they're ready to go 6 feet under.
They're not going to give up on him. And I'm telling them before that he's Jordan in the Wizards, in a Wizards uniform. That's what
I don't even think he's Jordan. I think he's done.
He's worse.
I think he's completely done.
No, he is done.
The thing that separates the truly transcendently great athletes, and Tiger Woods was there. Like, you could go name other sports. You can name Michael Jordan. You can name Wayne Gretzky.
No, he was undisputed the best.
He was undisputedly
like golf matter.
Like Roger Federer. You could go into different sports.
This tournament.
Well, he made golf matter again. Obviously, there have been great Brett Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, blah blah blah. You can go into the history of golf. But since Nicklaus, there wasn't really a guy, and he became the guy, and he's arguably the best ever. His prime is the best. Like, his prime is the best. But what separates these truly transcendent great athletes from everybody else is that they have a snarl and an edge to them. They have that personality where they know it's not necessarily me against the world, but they'll look at another player or another guy in the face and they'll be like, I'm going to beat you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what Jordan did every single night. He looked at the guy who was guarding him, he laughed, and he said, this is the best, you could do. Like, he would look at coaches and say that. Is this, you think he's going to stop me? I'm going to score 30 on him like that. That's the way Federer looks at other guys. That's the way, Tiger Woods, when he's going into these tournaments, he's looking at these guys you're better than me? No. Obviously not. And I think he lost his edge. And he used to be in the Gillette commercials, which is funny because, the guy's got an edge, but
that's been
but when you look at Tiger,
once he got
ever since that the accident happened and the divorce happened and all this information comes out about him cheating on his wife with not one woman, like with multiple women.
A ton.
And I don't support cheaters. I don't. That's obviously.
No, I totally agree with you. As with the girlfriend, I do not support that at all. It's disgusting.
It's
why get married? If Tiger Woods, why get married?
It's reprehensible. But what he did to like his ex-wife was reprehensible.
Oh, of course.
And
but as they say,
he was already in decline before that. But if you you pile that on top of it, he's basically, to me when I watch him, it seems like he's lost his desire. He doesn't have his mojo anymore.
That's it.
His head's not in it. And if your head's not in it, then why are you there in the first place?
And
I don't think he's ever getting it back.
There's not,
because I don't think people are ever going to forgive him before it happened. So
it doesn't matter about forgiveness. It doesn't matter at all.
No, I know.
People don't care. People don't care because people still show up for him. They buy tickets for him. You could look at the stats: ticket sales, TV, ratings, all that skyrockets when Tiger Woods announced that he's going to be in an event. That's the only thing that matters. I totally agree with you on the point that it is his edge. I mean, once he got hit in the face with his wife attacked him and the accident, whatever. He was on not the decline, but he wasn't playing great then. And then once that happens to him, yeah, he's just free falling. And golf is the most mental sport out there because it's just you. And you're on the course, and if you have one bad shot, leads to a second bad shot, to a third bad shot, you have to stop it and take it, shot by shot. As a person who played it, it's the most frustrating thing ever. You can get into a groove in other sports, but each shot it stops your previous momentum almost. You have to rebuild momentum as you go. And a person who lost all confidence is now shook in the head.
I feel like, just quick point, I've never played golf, but if I did, I feel like I'm not going to start. Yeah. But I feel like obviously if you're good and you can pick up hitting the ball and stroking it and obviously putting.
You're good stroking.
Those are very easy, natural body movements.
Yeah.
Right.
Stroking's really easy.
But at the same time, when you, obviously it's all about repetition, there's also mental
a lot of reps when you're stroking it.
So it's 50% physical, 50% mental as you're shooting the ball.
Stroking, it's a lot of physicality in there.
Great. Glad we're on the same page.
So, look, it's our podcast. We got to make it funny. So,
we can make it funny.
But I want to get to a serious point about this. But what was you saying with the? Yeah. So, and cheating. I don't get why he's married. I don't get why Tiger Woods was married. There was a saying: you show me a hot girl, and I'll show you a guy who's tired of dating her or whatever. That why get married? You're Tiger Woods. You have more money than God. He's an idiot in the first place. But it's terrible. You have you have kids. You have a family. Ruining that, his mojo's gone. Sticks to golf now. They, it's new swing coach. I want to change up your swing, and his mechanics are wrong, and too much muscle, and not enough muscle. All right, whatever, relax. It's not the golf mechanics or anything. It's just his mental. He's a mental midget now. He lost it, and it was a shame too because before we mentioned Gene brought another good point. Think about the athletes we grew up with the Tiger Woods and Derek Jeter and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and say Tim Duncan or a guy like Kobe, guys like that. Well, I guess Kobe's a bad example because as a late he hasn't been great, but they all, you could all say at the end of their careers
they stood great.
Right. I mean, I even throw Kobe. Kobe still put the team on his back and still scoring a ton of points. Kobe's on.
There are some nights Kobe looks like Kobe from 10 years
ago. Oh yeah, of course. He still shoots the light out.
He still has
that competitive edge. He's still a great defender. He's still going to score. He's going to get his points. Tim Duncan's winning championships. Derek Jeter went out on top. 3,000 hits and the.
Hitting all-time hits list.
Yeah, hitting. The way he did it.
He was getting 150 hits into his late.
Yeah, he didn't decline. Right. Shortstop is very weak right now in the MLB, but still, and he was still one of the top guys.
Argue about his defense all you want, but he's.
You have guys. Peyton Manning winning Super Bowls, Super Bowl, coming back. Breaking a neck, whatever his problem was, neck surgery, and then next season has one of his best seasons ever. Tom Brady, unfortunately for us, but for Pets fans, is good. Winning Super Bowl, his 4-1, 4 of 6. All these guys, did it, and they're on top of their games. Federer, want to go? Well, the great matches Federer's have as of late. He won a ton. Then a couple years back, he's always in a lull. He's come back really strong. First, Djokovic. I don't even know which one. All tennis is a blur to me, but I watched him play tennis, and he played very well.
I watched him.
But you can go across all the sports and find these guys we grew up with. And Tiger's the one guy who was good young. He hit his prime, had a very long prime, and then hit. I'm not sure during the downward spiral of his prime.
Well, he hit a brick wall, and then after he
hit his
brick
car
wall, he drew
into
his
a
car
tree.
off a cliff.
Yeah, and that's really what happened. So that is like the one point I wanted to end on, and saying how his fall from grace is way more. It was much harsher than the other athletes that we've seen, because everyone else has been more graceful as their exits have come upon them, but not Tiger. And I don't get why people. I get why people support him, but it's all based off what he's done, not what he will do. And I think that's a really bad thing to have in sports, where a guy to root for in sports is not what he's done, because you're not really you can't develop. The sport doesn't evolve. I mean, Rory should be the guy. It should be the one that people are focused on, and Rory McIlroy, and nobody's. The amount of coverage that Tiger gets compared to him, or the amount of it sells. I mean, that's not the way it is. The NBA right now, I mean, you moved on from guys like Jordan, Iverson, whoever else to the guys we have now, and the NFL is doing the same thing. There's plenty of new young guys. Andrew Luck is, Russell Wilson. These are guys you can move forward with, and golf is not doing that, and so just golf needs a whole new image makeover.
Well, they need a new guy, and hopefully Rory can be that guy.
So, is there any final words before we wrap up our first ever?
How much time did we take today?
I think we started the whole.
We completely lost track of this.
The whole GarageBand thing doesn't really have. It doesn't give you time. I don't know, but I mean, I think we're a little over an hour.
I would hope
we started over.
I hope we're like close to 90 minutes.
Yeah, we started around 11:30, so a little over an hour.
I mean, we'll keep these to 60
Look, we're gonna
minutes.
get better, guys.
We're gonna
folks.
get.
This is our first time doing
better.
it. I haven't been on radio since senior year. Was it 2014 May or in 2014? So my first crack at it. I mean, I've been on air and Sirius, no big deal. But just quick
keep
spots,
these shorter, not concise.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to. I want to tweet at us and tell us what you want to hear. I know we got some people tweeting us today. Some interesting questions.
Yeah, a bunch of the topics that we talked about.
We'll save those. Yeah. We can bring those up. I'm sure we'll do this soon in a couple of weeks. We're going to have the website. We're going to have these linked for you on iTunes and YouTube. We'll have all the it'll be available. We're going to get better at this for the Dishing Swishing Podcast. So after our first long one, introducing what we're about and hitting on the big topics of us now, which, like I said, tweet at us, let us know. We'll get better. Anything you guys want to hear, we'll talk about. So for